It was the 4th of July weekend. I don't know whether the 4th was on Monday or Friday, but I think it was a 3-day weekend. I got a phone call from my mother-in-law probably at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning, which was the morning of the fire, which probably was the 4th then. And she had gotten up and had flipped on the radio and had learned that there was a significant fire in downtown Bloomington in the Unity Building. My wife and I, Peg and I, went down, and I can remember standing across the street, and the building was just consumed in flames. I mean, the fire coming out the tops and everything else. It was a 4-story building on the corner, and the 3rd floors collapsed. We were on the 2nd floor. The building was considered a total loss. We didn't have our calendars. We didn't know anything about what we were supposed to do or where we were supposed to be. We didn't have any of our files, which were unavailable to us. And that situation, let's see, the fire was, it was Sunday. I think maybe on Wednesday, the fire department determined that it was safe enough for us to go into our space, okay? And I can remember crawling up a ladder off of Washington Street into the 2nd story window of what was our office, and it was just unbelievable. I mean, there was the floor was covered with water and debris. They'd busted down the door to get into our space. As you went back, and the fire really didn't get in our space. It was there was a firewall that worked in the sense of separating it. But I went for a suspect in my office, and you know, stuff like your diploma and your whatever you had hanging on the wall and pictures on the desk and stuff was just covered with water. Mm-hmm. We were able to salvage. I think maybe I got my diploma out of there. I mean, the stuff was there, it wasn't burned, but it was soaking wet. You walked in the library, and you would have, if you didn't know better, you'd say there was nothing wrong with it because the books were still on the shelves and the tables and chairs were still where they were. But it was covered with water. And when they pulled the books out, of course, they expanded. Everything we had. We didn't save a typewriter. We didn't save an adding machine. We didn't save a dictaphone. We had some files were totally lost, irretrievably lost. You had situations where you could go down to the courthouse and have a circuit clerk photocopy a litigation file, for instance. You could get all your pleadings and everything, the docket sheets and that. Some of the files were just gone. I mean, you probably had a contract, somebody's going to buy a house or sell a house or whatever, gone. Well, you probably could reconstruct it awkwardly in some fashion. But yeah, there were some that were, a bunch of our files that we had in kind of a dead storage area were totally lost, so you lost that resource. If a file was in the file drawer, you had, let's say, a 4-drawer file, the stuff in the bottom drawer was ruined because it stood in water. The top 3 drawers, much of those files you could actually get out and use. We took everything out of there that we could and went and took it out to Brantville. Bill Brandt's family had a trucking concern, and so we ended up putting it out there that we could sort out what we had and what we couldn't work with. We, of course, didn't have any equipment. We then had at least we got our calendars when we got in there. I'm guessing it was Wednesday, but it might not have been. But anyway, so now we had our calendars and we had an idea of what we needed to be doing. We rented some space in the, what was then the old, Montgomery Ward building down in the center and Front Streets. But there was a t-shirt print shop up there, and every day it just stunk. I mean, whatever they were doing. And we had, we got some loaner typewriters, we got some loaner desks, we got a phone system, and we functioned there until February of '89. And we were stepping all over each other. The secretaries, you know, nobody had enough space. Absolutely, we had no conference, maybe we had one conference room. They kind of assumed arson. There'd been another fire downtown, and they thought maybe it was arson. It turned out, and I don't even know, I didn't find this out till years later, They discovered that in the basement of what was then the American State Bank, which was right next to our building, there was some kind of a rock band or something that was practicing in like midnight, and they blew a circuit or did something. It was electrical in source. If anybody tried to take advantage of that situation, it was not at my expense. The lawyers, I think, to a person probably said, my God, it could have been me. And so if you wanted to delay something or you had to not show up for something, they said, fine. And as far as I know, the judges were the same way. Everybody knew it was a mess, and it could have been anybody's mess, just happened to be ours. Moral to the story is, if you know you're going to have a fire, get good coverage, get replacement coverage.